Imagine being a 16-year-old, minding your own business, when a cop pepper sprays you so badly that you're left injured with your face burning. But instead of just suffering in silence, you take a picture of the damage and send it straight to your dad. What you don't know is that your dad is a high-ranking FBI official. Sounds insane, right? Stick around to see how Malik Johnson's father flipped the script on this racist cop, and what happened next will shock you. You don't want to miss this. It was just another ordinary afternoon for 16-year-old Malik Johnson as he walked down the busy downtown street. His headphones were in, and his mind buzzed with his latest thoughts. He had finished up his errands for his mother, picking up groceries, doing a little shopping, and was headed home. Little did he know, his life was about to take an unexpected and dramatic turn. Malik was an average teenager. Nothing about him stood out to most people. He lived in a quiet neighborhood, went to school, spent time with friends, and tried to make the most out of his young life. But on this particular day, he was about to experience something that no child, no teenager should ever have to go through. As he walked down the sidewalk, he noticed a cop car parked nearby, its lights flashing. The officer, a white man in his late 40s with a stern look on his face, stepped out of the car. He seemed to be scanning the crowd for something. For someone. His eyes landed on Malik, and in that instant, something inside Malik told him that this wasn't going to end well. The officer began walking toward him, his boots echoing in the quiet street. Malik stopped in his tracks. He could feel the tension building, like the air had become thicker, heavier. "Hey, boy," the officer called out, his voice carrying a tone that was harsh, uninviting. "What are you doing here?" Malik, taken aback by the word boy and the tone in the officer's voice, adjusted his backpack and tried to remain calm. He was a teenager, but he had learned early on that dealing with cops, especially in certain neighborhoods, could be dangerous. But he also knew he wasn't doing anything wrong. "I'm just heading home, officer," Malik said, trying to keep his voice steady. The officer's eyes narrowed. "I don't care what you're doing. I need you to step aside and talk to me for a second," he ordered. Malik's heart began to race. Something about the cop's presence was unsettling. His mind quickly went through the list of things his mom had told him. Always be polite. Always comply even when you know you're in the right. But Malik didn't want to feel like a criminal. He didn't want to be treated like someone suspicious just because of the color of his skin. But he didn't have much of a choice. He stepped to the side, trying to keep his composure, even as the officer moved closer, hand on his pepper spray, as if it was the first thing he intended to use. The air between them grew thick with tension. Malik's stomach twisted as he tried to figure out what was going on. "You got an ID on you?" the officer asked, his voice even colder now. "I'm just a teenager, sir." "I'm not doing anything wrong," Malik responded, his voice now tinged with frustration. But the officer wasn't having it. He wasn't interested in listening to Malik's side. Before Malik could even react, the officer pulled out his pepper spray and aimed it straight at Malik's face. "Hey, what the hell?" Malik yelled, his heart pounding in his chest. But it was too late. The officer released a stream of pepper spray directly into Malik's eyes. The burning sensation hit Malik with full force. His vision blurred, and his skin immediately felt like it was on fire. His throat tightened, and he gasped, trying to catch his breath, but the stinging pain made it almost impossible to speak. Malik stumbled back, his eyes watering uncontrollably. He clutched at his face, trying to block out the burning sensation, but it was no use. The pain was unbearable. His knees felt weak beneath him as he tried to find his footing, disoriented, unable to see properly. Around him, people started murmuring, some even pulling out their phones to record the incident. A crowd had begun to form, people whispering in shock, unsure of how to intervene, some too scared to speak up, others simply too shocked to react. And then, as Malik's world spun, trying to fight through the pain and his blurred vision, he heard a voice from behind him, loud, commanding, and filled with authority. "Excuse me, officer," the voice called out sharply. "What do you think you're doing?" Malik blinked rapidly, trying to clear his vision, and in front of him stood a tall man in a black suit, his dark sunglasses still on even in the streetlight. The man's voice carried weight, his presence undeniable. The officer, still holding his pepper spray, froze, his posture stiffening. "I said, what do you think you're doing?" The man repeated, his tone colder now, filled with authority. Malik could barely see, but he recognized the voice. He turned his head toward the sound of it, trying to make out the figure in front of him. It was his father. Marcus Johnson, special agent with the FBI. Malik's father had arrived just in time. "I'm Special Agent Marcus Johnson with the FBI," Malik's father continued, his voice steady yet sharp. He took a step closer, his eyes locked on the officer's. "This is my son. Now, you will explain to me why you just pepper sprayed him for no reason." The officer's eyes widened, his face going pale as he recognized the man in front of him. He had no idea who he had just attacked. If he had known that Malik's father was one of the highest-ranking officials at the FBI, would he have acted the same way? Probably not. "Sir, the officer began to stammer, but Marcus cut him off. "You have no excuse. You attacked my son for no reason. You overstepped, and you will face the consequences for this," Marcus said, his voice now louder, more commanding. The officer stood there frozen, realizing his mistake, but unable to take back what had already happened. The damage had been done. The crowd that had gathered around them now watched with bated breath. They could see the shift in the officer's stance, from the cocky, aggressive demeanor to one of nervousness, as he realized the gravity of the situation. "You will be hearing from my office," Marcus said firmly, "and you will answer for your actions." Malik, still struggling to clear his eyes, looked up at his father, a mix of emotions running through him: anger, fear, confusion. But mostly, he felt an overwhelming sense of disbelief that this was happening to him. Marcus helped Malik to his feet, holding him steady as they walked away from the scene. As they got into the car, Malik couldn't help but feel a burning frustration. "What happened, Dad?" he asked, his voice hoarse from the sting of the pepper spray. "Why did he do that? Why me?" Marcus glanced over at his son, his jaw clenched. "This world isn't always fair, Malik," he said softly. "But what we do now, how we handle this, will matter more than anything." The following days were a blur of calls, legal paperwork, and meetings. Malik's father used his position to ensure that the officer faced disciplinary action. The officer was placed on administrative leave, pending an investigation. The public outrage over the incident grew as word spread about what had happened. Malik's family didn't want this story to just be another headline. They wanted to make sure that no one else would have to go through what Malik had. In the end, the officer was fired, but the Johnson family didn't let it end there. They worked tirelessly to bring attention to the systemic racism that still existed in law enforcement. The story became a rallying cry for many others who had suffered at the hands of biased policing. For Malik, it was a turning point. He realized the power of his father's position and the importance of standing up for what was right, no matter who you were. It was a painful lesson, but one that he would carry with him for the rest of his life. As the story made its way through the media, Malik's father took the opportunity to speak out against the treatment of Black people by law enforcement, emphasizing the need for reform. The experience had shaken Malik to his core, but it also fueled a desire to fight for justice. And as he looked at the world around him, he knew that this was just one chapter in a much bigger fight for equality. Thanks for watching. If you were as shocked as I was, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more unbelievable stories like this. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's talk about it. Until next time, stay aware and stay tuned.